Thanks for making KXLH a part of your Tuesday. I'm Tim McGonigal. We begin with an update to a deadly weekend crash that took the lives of 3 Townsend teenagers. Memorial services will be held for the boys killed in that crash later this week. A 2-vehicle crash Saturday north of Fort Benton resulted in the deaths of students Tarek Lucas Johnson, Keanu Daniel Amsk, and Branson Wayne Phelps. It's unclear at this time whether alcohol or speed led to the head-on collision with a semi-truck. Memorial services for the 3 boys are scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday of this week. A 4th teenager from Townsend injured in the accident continues to recover in a Seattle hospital. 19-year-old Trent Pecurian remains in critical condition, being treated in an intensive care unit at Harborview Medical Center. Canadian authorities say they've arrested a 22-year-old man in connection with the murder of a young father in Alberta yesterday. However, they still don't know the whereabouts of the victim's 2-year-old daughter. Searchers have been frantically looking for little Haley Dunbar Blanchette since yesterday morning after neighbors called to tell the Royal Canadian Mounted Police that they'd heard a white van speeding away from her home in Blairmore, which is near the British Columbia border. Once inside, investigators found the body of 27-year-old Terry Blanchette. That led to a region-wide Amber Alert, which extended into Montana, British Columbia, and Saskatchewan. In a press conference in Calgary earlier this afternoon, Mounted Police announced they had arrested a suspect but still hadn't located the little girl. Superintendent Tony Hamori told reporters the 22-year-old man was arrested in connection with both Blanchette's murder and his daughter's abduction. RCMP believes they have recovered the white van seen speeding from the scene, although they were still checking out that vehicle. Well, Lewis and Clark law officers are looking for a suspected drug dealer involved in a brief chase and crash last night. According to the Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office, DJ Pointer is wanted on a federal warrant for conspiracy to possess methamphetamine with intent to distribute. Pointer was spotted last night at 8:40 by a sheriff's deputy on North Montana Avenue. The suspect allegedly fled and crashed his vehicle at the corner of Montana and Beaverhead. He then fled the scene on foot. And if you've seen Pointer, law officers say you can call 911, or if you have any information about Pointer's whereabouts, you can also call 447-8293. A Helena suspect charged with forcing his way into a residence faces up to 40 years in prison. Christopher George Nihan is charged with felony aggravated burglary following an incident Monday afternoon. Prosecutors say officers were called to a residence on the 300 block of North Davis Street to the report of an assault. According to charging documents, the male victim in the case was arguing with his ex-girlfriend when she left the residence upset and angry. She returned 15 minutes later with Nihan, who allegedly forced his way into the victim's home and began assaulting the victim, who sustained minor injuries. His bond has been set at $5,000. The state's top political cop today said Republican gubernatorial hopeful Greg Gianforte did not improperly spend money before registering as a candidate last month. Commissioner of Political Practices Jonathan Modell dismissed a complaint filed against Gianforte by a Butte man on August 26th. Modell said Gianforte or anyone else has some leeway to explore a candidacy before they must register with his office. State law requires anyone to file the statement with Modell's office within 5 days of raising or spending money for his or her campaign. Gianforte filed his statement August 17th, saying he's exploring a possible run for governor. He's co-founder of a software development firm in Bozeman that was sold to Oracle Corporation for $1.8 billion in 2012. He's one of 3 Republicans considering a challenge to Democratic Governor Steve Bullock in 2016. The complaint said Gianforte should have filed as a candidate several months earlier when he created a website and hired a staffer. But Modell said until Gianforte declared himself a potential candidate, he's free to spend money as an individual and therefore didn't have to register. Well, we may still be in a drought, but today's rain was helpful. Meteorologist Mike Rollins joins us now from the Weather Center. And Mike, as you say, every little bit counts.
Every bit of rain counts when it comes to a drought, and our rainfall totals were impressive over the past 24 hours. We can check out some of those numbers here for you. Nearly an inch in some spots. Townsend picking up 0.86 inches of rain. Near Boulder, just over a ½ inch, and near a ½ inch in Wolf Creek. Officially at Helena Regional, 0.28 inches of rain at the airport. Opportunity Bank iCam, a nice time lapse from earlier today showing you the clouds moving over Mount Helena. No rain this afternoon. The showers have steered clear of Lewis and Clark County, but we do have more rain on the way. Round 1 has moved out. Now I'm tracking round 2. That will be arriving here as early as Wednesday morning. And here's a look at that planner for your Wednesday morning commute. 51 degrees at 4 o'clock in the morning. Cool and cloudy, and it's going to be a wet commute for many of you. I'll time out that rain and show you where we're going to get snow in Storm Tracker weather.
All right, thanks a lot, Mike. We'll see you in just a little bit. Well, the new parking system at Helena Regional Airport is up and running. The $600,000 project replaces the old honor system of envelopes placed on windshield with an automated system. Tickets are dispensed at the entrance to the airport parking lot, and those tickets can be fed into kiosks at the exits. The price is still $3 per day, and customers can now pay with plastic or with cash.
A lot of folks are wanting to pay with credit cards now because it's a lot more convenient. So we had quite a bit of interest from the users in that. So I think that's going to be a big benefit. Certainly if you're still a cash customer, being able to get correct change, that was a big thing we heard a lot of feedback from.
Jeff Wadecamper says the system is more efficient and will give the airport 100% collection recovery. The Lewis and Clark County Heritage Tourism Council is meeting to discuss a wide range of issues, and one of them is the controversial Confederate Memorial Fountain. Heritage Preservation Officer Pam Attardo has drafted language detailing the fountain's history, which was built by the Daughters of the Confederacy in 1916. A sign placed in front of the fountain would explain what was happening politically during the early 20th century and address race relations. It's what Attardo calls a social history lesson. It's still up in the air whether a disclaimer stating that the city of Helena doesn't agree with the segregation aspects of the Confederate Memorial Fountain will be implemented. Attardo says she anticipates to get a plan approved while the current city commission is still intact. Kids at Radley Elementary got up close and personal with a gray horned owl today as part of Montana Fish and Wildlife's Adopt a Species program. FWP is making learning about wildlife fun by holding interactive assemblies. Kids sang the Habitat song, asked questions about Slash, the gray horned owl, and his eating habits, and they asked plenty more questions. FWP is visiting every elementary school in Helena. They'll also make appearances in Clancy, Montana City, Townsend, Lincoln, and Wolf Creek. As one FWP volunteer put it, it's about getting students interested in Montana's abundance of living creatures.
Overall goal is just to help these students become more aware of the type of wildlife we have in Montana and some of the things that we as residents of Montana can do to help enhance and maintain our wonderful wildlife.
The Adopt a Species program will continue every Tuesday and Thursday through mid-October. Two grateful communities say thanks for a job well done to local law enforcement. Radio stations from the Montana Radio Company invited the public to sign 10-foot-long banners in Helena and Great Falls this morning. A way to say thanks to everyone involved in the 3-day search and capture of murder suspect Brandon Meismer. From 6 this morning until 1 this afternoon, a steady stream of folks stopped by the Kmart parking lot on Cedar to write a few words of support for the men and women who wear a badge.
At the end of this week, we're going to invite the police chief and the sheriff from both Great Falls and Helena to stop by, and we'll present them with these banners, and hopefully they can display them somewhere where a lot of the officers and the people involved can see them.
Scott says he heard all sorts of reasons for people turning out to say thanks this morning from members of the entire community.